primary ignition.
Hey everyone, I'm D-Rod from Unlimited Power, and right now we're going to go over your guide to building a Thrawn deck at your local pre-release or future sealed events. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and talk about what does Thrawn do. So as a leader, he has the ability at the beginning of the action phase to look at the top card of each player's deck. So yours, your opponent's, and many others in a multiplayer Twin Suns match. During the action phase, you can spend one resource, exhaust Thrawn, and reveal the top card of your deck or any opponent's deck. And you can exhaust a unit that costs equal to or less than the value you show. So not only are you revealing information and learning it yourself as Thrawn, you're using it to your advantage to kind of control the board state. In a multiplayer game, this could be really fun to show your other opponents what one player has, or again, you're pretty much learning what your opponent does. Thrawn's ability is really similar once he's deployed. He still has the same ability at the beginning of the action phase, except now he has a trigger. When he attacks, he can reveal the top card of the deck and exhaust a unit. Now, this is different. Instead of paying the one resource and exhausting, it's a trigger attack. Thrawn doesn't hit very hard, but he has a lot of health. In fact, he has the second highest health of any of the other leaders in the game so far. He's an Imperial official, so there are going to be some cards that work well with him. If you're a big fan of Thrawn, it's because you really love his master strategies, his tactics, and his ability to view his opponents, right? So this is very on theme as a card because he plays very mid-range to late game. Your goal is to kind of control the deck or control the game and attack your opponents as you see fit and when you see the best opportunities to do so, and decreasing the amount of times they can actually hit you. So let's take a look at some of the cards that are going to help you do this. And for just so everyone knows, all these cards we're going to be looking at today are mostly going to be commons and uncommons because these are the cards that are going to fill out your deck. So let's go ahead and take a look at the ones that match Thrawn's leadership aspects. Those are going to be 7th Fleet Defender, ISB Agent, and Bosk. All these cards have decent values except for the ISB Agent, so they're good for exhausting units. The 7th Fleet Defender, not only is it on theme for what Thrawn has done and given to the Empire, but the 7th Fleet Defender has a shield and hits for 3. So it's a good cost, it can stay alive a little bit longer, and it hits very hard. Bosk, on the other hand, he hits as soon as he comes into play with that ambush ability, and he benefits you as long as you're playing more events. Because you're playing the cunning route with Thrawn, events are going to be very important to your playstyle, and every time you play one with Bosk out, you can deal 2 damage to a unit. The ISB agent also favors events. When you play him, you can reveal an event from your hand, and if you do, deal 1 damage to a unit. He's a low-cost Imperial, so he's going to help you with some of those Imperial trends you may find yourself in. He's going to allow you to do some damage, and he has some health so he can stay on the board for at least a few turns. Let's go ahead and look at other cunning cards that may benefit us. One being the Mining Guild TIE Fighter. Not an Imperial, but it is a TIE Fighter nonetheless. And it does have the ability that after you attack, you can pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. Card advantage wins games, and being able to draw cards that you know are right there due to Thrawn's ability is going to be important. You'll know if it's worth you paying the extra 2 to have a card in your hand early, or if you'll be able to play the card on your turn. Next is Surprise Strike. Attack with a unit. If it gets +3, it gets +3/+0 for the attack. That's pretty solid. Again, the word surprise there is exactly what it does. It's going to catch your opponent off guard. It's an event, so it's going to work with a lot of what you're doing with Bosk and ISB agents, and it's going to have someone like Thrawn hit a little bit harder. Lastly is Gamorrean Guards, who have a static ability that as long as you control another yellow unit, like Thrawn, then this unit gains Sentinel. You're paying 4 for a 4/4. It's already a great value, and since yellow is your primary color, you should be able to retain Sentinel on the guards, buying you some more time while also hitting your opponent's units for a lot of damage. Next, we're going to jump into the villain aspect, the second aspect of Thrawn, and we're going to focus on maximum firepower. A friendly Imperial unit deals damage equal to its power. Well, Thrawn being Imperial already says we should have one on the board. And for playing around other themes, Imperial is probably going to be one of the things we want to pick up on quickly. So maximum firepower guarantees that we can hit someone with 3 as long as Thrawn's in play. And if we have another unit, we may be able to finally finish someone off. Take, for example, the Viper Probe Droid. It has 3 damage as well. You pay 1 card to do 6 damage to a unit. That seems good, especially in limited format. The Viper Probe Droid itself, when he comes into play, allows you to look at your opponent's hand. So a card like that's going to give you a little bit more card knowledge to go along with Thrawn, and that's really important for you playing a mid to late game strategy. Last is a cell block guard. It's there to buy you some time as a 3/3 with Sentinel. It's also Imperial, so you may find some other themes that work well within it. Next is aggression. We're going to start off with the Imperial Interceptor. Actually, all these cards are great cost cards to work with Thrawn's ability. They're all relatively great average cards, so we should be able to tap down some unit on our opponent's arena board. But the Imperial Interceptor is great because when it comes into play, it has the ability to deal 3 damage to a space unit. What's better than exhausting unit? Removing a unit. So Imperial Interceptor definitely makes the list as it's a basic common and you're going to want to fill up that space board. A little bit higher cost, but doing something similar is Ruthless Raider. Raider only deals 2 damage when it enters play to a unit, but it also deals this damage on its way out. That 2 damage goes to a base and a unit in any arena. So I think the Raider is always a solid choice. It's 6, so you should be able to exhaust many cards and many leaders of your opponent's deck, and it's not bad to have a 4/6 into your space arena. Lastly is Open Fire, a great common to just remove units from your opponent's arena board. So definitely pick up a few of those if you can. You'll be glad you did, especially when it can kill other leaders a little easily like IG-88 or Iden Versio once she loses her shield. Next is going to be the Vigilance aspect. Although there are a lot of great units in Vigilance, you really want to continue to focus on removing units. There's going to be some units you're not going to be able to exhaust every turn. And if your opponent's putting out units every turn, you're not going to be able to exhaust more than one. So the best thing to do is to try to make sure you're removing units that are harder for you to deal with. We're talking about high cost ones. Your opponent's bombs / beatdowns, things like Vader, Imperial AT-ATs, Imperial Star Destroyers, Jedi, those types of things. So Vanquish, Takedown, and Power of the Dark Side all fit those builds, and they're great commons and uncommons to use in any limited format. Lastly is going to be the command aspect. Resupply here is going to allow you to put Thrawn into play maybe 1 or 2 turns early, depending on how many you receive. Seasoned Shore Trooper over here on the right is going to allow you to play a unit early on that gets stronger as you continue to put resources into play. And my favorite card in the set is always going to be Overwhelming Barrage. It's a great card and it fits black-green villains just fine. Give a friendly unit +2 use 2 for the phase, then divide that damage by dealing it out to as many units as you want, right? So I think that kind of card is going to be amazing. You play that on Thrawn. Yeah, he'll only be able to hit for 5 and deal out 5, but it kind of guarantees Thrawn can stay alive. Now play it on something else, maybe that Bosk or a Gamorrean Guard, and you're going to have a 6/6, and 6 damage to distribute. I think it's a great card, and I always recommend playing it if you're playing black-green. All right, that's my list of cards that you can use to upgrade your pre-release and sealed decks coming up in the Spark of Rebellion set for Star Wars Unlimited. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great time playing Thrawn, and may the Force be with you.